Hi everybody. It's been really hard to get everybody in for resume small groups, so I wanted to make a quick overview workshop for you, and just in case you're unable to attend one of my resume small group meetings, and hopefully this will answer some of your questions that you might have. These are some of the typical sections that I see on computer science student resumes, but this is not a complete list, nor is it a list that you should all have on every resume. This is just meant to give you a sample of, what are the kinds of sections you might see on a resume. Yours should be different. What's really important is that your reader needs to understand what you know. So your skills and knowledge, those are the things that you know. What you've done, your experience would be those. That could be intern, full-time experience, and also projects. Those are things you've done before. And then lastly, a reader needs to understand your interests. So what is it that you want to do now? What kind of work, what kind of a position are you seeking? And that does not necessarily need to come from something like a summary or an objective. It certainly could come from the sum total of the content on your resume as well. So looking at the contact info sections on your page, you can see there's lots of different examples here of ways that you might do this. They're not all the same for sure. You'll note none of them take more than 3 lines. This is also a sample resume that's in the career guide, which is produced by the Career Development Center. I'm going to show you this and include this link as well, because this is a great way just to see what types of information have other students included. Within education, certainly you want to have your master's degree and your undergrad degree. No previous education prior to bachelor's. Coursework is definitely something you may want to include. It should be current or past courses, not future courses. If you're just starting in our program, sometimes people do this for GPA if they don't have a GPA at NC State yet. Sometimes they eliminate it completely, also fine. Both of these are good options. As far as your undergrad GPA, if it's from a different country, it may be a different way of indicating than a 4-point scale. That's totally fine. Listed, however, makes sense based on the system that you are coming from. So no worries there. You'll see, for example, here, Master of Computer Science. This is the way to indicate your degree if you are a non-thesis student. You don't have a Master of Science if you're a non-thesis computer science student. If you're in the networking program, you would say Master of Science. And also, if you are in the thesis program, you would say Master of Science, Computer Science. Let's look now into projects and experience. This is probably the part of the resume that might cause the most consternation as you're doing your writing. And the main thing is that you want to help your reader understand your task plus scope and scale. Oops. This is the piece that's important. So when you're describing a task, you might say something like automated testing. You might say something like designed program. This is something that I see a lot of times on computer science resumes. However, it's also something that me as your career services director can also include on my resume. So it's important. Our scope and scale is very different. So let's think about how I would write this. So this is a short phrase. It really didn't take that long for me or much space for me to write, but it gives you a strong sense of what my scope of work is, the scale of work, and the basic task at hand. I design and implement programs for you. And so this is one example of that, how I could write about it. And I also could tweak it slightly to be applicable to a different audience. If I wanted to apply for something within the College of Engineering, for example, I could do that. If I wanted to work with undergraduate students, maybe I could do that. And, help describe my own experience in a way that relates to the type of work that I want to do next. So when you are trying to think of what should I say for scope and scale, these are the questions to ask yourself: who, what, when, where, why, and how. They will help you come up with these additional words to add into your phrases. So that's what you need to get going working on. That's a big part of what you'll be doing, is getting that writing just right. Now, how do we showcase our brand? We're going to weave that information kind of throughout the resume. And if we look at our sample here, you can see Shea Software, appropriately named, who has the Master's in Computer Science. And then under courses, the first one is Software Engineering. Under languages, we're seeing Software Engineering. Under work experience, we're seeing Software Engineering. And then under projects, we're seeing work related to Software Engineering and even the hackathons under interest. So that is really establishing a brand throughout the document. One distinction I want to help you make too with work experience, you can see here I have 4 pieces of information I'm sharing about my work experience: the job title, the company, the location, and the dates. For the projects, I'm not supplying so much detail because the dates, is it October, is it November, is it January when I complete the project, doesn't really give the reader that much new useful information. So I'm just going to leave it off. And I'm not even going to use project titles here because it might make it harder for me to see some of the basic domain knowledge that I want to make sure that my reader understands. It would be they would have to think a lot more if my title was Library Management System, for example, instead of database. So they may not be looking for somebody to develop a library management system, but they might be seeking someone to work on databases for them. So it's a little easier to make that information transferable. So certainly that's one suggestion, and a way to also make your projects not all read the same. If you have the same project title as everybody else in your class, then that might make it a little more challenging. Your resume should showcase you as unique, and it's that combination of all of these pieces that make you unique. Just wanted to share too, these are some of the things outside of the technical that your employers are looking for, and they are looking for that, as evidence from your resume. It's not something you explicitly state in your resume, but they are taking in that information. How well are you communicating on your resume? How well are you communicating at the career fair? When you talk with someone to set up an interview, when you email with a recruiter, all of those are examples of that. And finally, employers are looking for you to be a fit with their organization. So that's really important for you to keep in mind throughout. You want to try to connect with the people in the organization, not just from a skills perspective, but you really want to try to connect because you know their company, you know where you fit in with their company, and what you're interested in doing. So you want to ask curious questions with them that show that you have a genuine interest in what they do. So definitely take a look at the career guide. It's got wonderful samples you can look at. Look at how different all these formats are. There's many ways to do it. And then there's also a fabulous verb list you can use as you're writing your action statements. This is a great resource for you. So this link will be included as well. Good luck, and please remember that you can get assistance at the Career Development Center on Thursday through Friday. The Career Center is having extended drop-in hours. I believe all of my sessions are already full, so I want to make sure you know how to get in touch with my great colleagues in the Career Center where I previously worked for the last 12 years. So it's a great place. You'll get great help You do need to have your printed copy of your resume and come within these hours. I would recommend earlier rather than later. So good luck, and I look forward to seeing you soon.